Samurai 8, Chapter 16, Shattered Stars. This was a great chapter, a very satisfying finale to this first arc of the series, and some of the best artwork that we've seen so far. Props to Okubo, and of course, props to Kishimoto. I cannot wait to see where things go from here. I think this is a fantastic start to the series, but you already know how I feel about this, so let's get into it. So it's picking up where the previous left off with the moon falling into Earth as per what Atta had planned. I hypothesized in the previous review that he had used like a time-delayed splitting type cut technique, the same that we saw Daruma use earlier in the series when he cut that line in front of Hachimaru with like a 5-second delay. He probably did like an hour delay or something like this, but to the size of like the scale of the moon. So that's going into the Earth still, and we're seeing that like without Princess Sahime, who I assume was like the main princess of this planet, along with Mujin, who was the main protector, the guardian samurai, they are both taken out by Atta. So all of the princesses without leaders are just kind of coming together, congregating, doing their little round table thing here to figure out how to take care of it. And they're just sending everybody that they can, because it's all they can really do here. And we're seeing that all the individual samurais, or a lot of them, have their own little spaceship holder type things. Like one of them looks like Rayquaza. And they're not really powerful enough to really deal with something on this scale. Maybe Mujin could have. Maybe. But that remains to be seen. He's probably gone forever at this point. But they could barely even deal with just the debris coming from the moon cracking. Which they call splinters in this chapter. So it's definitely going to have to come down to Daruma taking care of this, and of course with Hachimaru. So then we see what Daruma intends to do to take care of this. He's going to use pretty much the same technique that he used to take out Atta, but on a much bigger scale. He also implied in the previous chapter that he was going to teach Hachimaru this, but even at the end of this chapter, it remains to be seen if Hachimaru is going to be able to retain any of this information, considering the circumstances that go into him performing this technique, you know, with the whole connection that they do between linking their keys. But another interesting thing that we're finding out in this chapter is that An has another purpose. She can essentially grant a samurai like a power-up, and I guess this is of course ubiquitous among all princesses, and as the scale goes up with them, the more powerful the power-ups that they can do, the buffs, if you will. And I'm assuming that there's multiple different things that they can do rather than just increasing their power. I'm sure they can do like shields and healing and whatever else. I mean, it remains to be seen, but there's going to be tons of stuff to get into with this. I mean, the door is wide open for what An can do. She will not be a useless character. I think she's far from useless already, but I think Kishimoto is really trying to do the female characters justice. So they call it her praying for a lot of power, but essentially I think she's just tapping into the force of this world, you know, the link that everyone has to Akala, more or less. Just in my opinion, it seems like everything starts with Akala. Like, the princesses are linked to him, the samurais are obviously linked to him, so it might be her, like, drawing power from him or something. Of course, this is just speculation. We don't completely understand how the power dynamics of this world work yet, but I'm just assuming that she is, like, conjuring power from Akala, something like that, unless it's just the energy in the universe that she's pulling together here. But regardless, she is able to conjure a buff for Hachimaru, and this is the first time we're seeing it, first time we're finding out about it as far as I know, and we're definitely going to see more of it, and it seems to help him a little bit. I don't really think this is playing a large part into the feat that Hachimaru and Daruma are doing here, but it's certainly helping, and it's just setting up that this dynamic exists. So as I was saying, Daruma and Hachimaru connect via their keys in order to perform the atmospheric blade, which I think is going to be like the main overall like special attack of this series, like the Kamehameha of Samurai 8, because this is, you know, we saw, like I said, Daruma used this against Atta, but just with a toothpick. And we knew that he had to use a toothpick because of how overwhelmingly powerful it is. And we're just seeing, like, if they use like a regular sword on it, we see what can come of it. So it was definitely needed for the toothpick to be the vessel of that technique earlier, because if he didn't, he likely would have destroyed the planet in the process of using it. But another interesting thing that Daruma says here is that, you know, after they're connected, he says, I would rather do it properly and upload the Vajrayaksa license to your key. So this is a thing that exists. It's kind of like the Matrix, I guess, you know, like when Morpheus or whoever else in the Matrix during that scene uploads Kung Fu and other information into Neo. It's like, I know Kung Fu now. I think it's something like that. Now, granted, I don't think it's going to be that simple. I mean, that would kind of defeat the purpose of shonen mechanics, and especially the mechanics of this series. I don't think Kishimoto just wants to fast track Hachimaru to just automatically learning something by uploading information to him. But I think what Daruma is saying here is that he can upload like the knowledge of these techniques to, or just the Vajrayaka style to Hachimaru, but he won't automatically be able to master them. Maybe he'll just know how that they exist, know what they are, and then of course he's going to have to train, practice, and master these skills because, you know, that's part of the course with series like this. Because, you know, he says, we do not have enough time. So I assume that this is going to come back later, like, because, you know, they're going to have a lot of time on this spaceship. They're going to have a lot of time going around to get the other keys. So I assume that he's going to upload the catalog of the Vajrayaka style to Hachimaru, and then they're going to train after that and, you know, further develop the skills from there. But pretty cool. We're seeing the beginning of the atmospheric blade develop on Hachimaru's soul sword here, which still isn't proper. It eventually does become proper once the atmospheric blade like consumes it, but before he's even able to conjure it, he still has a jaggedy blade, still showing that he still has much room to improve, which is good because, you know, we're only in chapter 16, despite the crazy feats of power that we're getting already. But before he fully activates the technique, of course with the assistance of Daruma, we're seeing glimpses of people on the planet. And I think this is more or less wrapping up these lingering little storylines that we had, because they are in fact leaving this place for good. They're not even coming back to just, you know, talk to everybody, be like, hey, that was pretty cool that we blew up the planet. All right, goodbye everyone. They're just piecing out. So we're seeing that Ann's fellow princesses are recognizing her. Like before, she was wasn't held in, you know, that high of regard. But now it's like, yeah, she's cool. We like her. So that's wrapping that up. Another thing that's wrapping up here is that Hagamichi, he's unfortunately not going with them, which I thought he might have been in the previous chapter, but no, he's going to stick back on Earth. It seems like the main cast of the story is not going to include Hagamichi. It's just going to be Daruma, Ann, Heiataro, and of course Hachimaru, which is fine, but I just would have liked Hagamichi to tag along. He's a pretty cool character. But a super interesting thing here amongst the people that we're seeing back on Earth, you know, this final montage wrap-up, like I said, wrapping up these little lingering storylines, is Nanashi, somebody that we haven't seen for a while. Still remains to be seen if the gender of this character, so I'll just say they. But we're seeing Nanashi, and she's acknowledging, they are acknowledging that Hachimaru, you know, is pretty cool, and that they theorized that he was going to be the next falling star, similar to what Daruma, I think he one of his epitaphs possibly, but I think Nanashi is for sure going to come back into the story. Nanashi is going to become a samurai, and then maybe be like a pseudo rival of Hachimaru. Maybe not like a direct, like, foil type of adversary / rival, but like, you know, competitive but supportive at the same time. I think that's the dynamic that they're going to have, because Nanashi does have feelings for Hachimaru, of course. So when is Nanashi going to come back? Probably not for a while. When is Nanashi even going to become a samurai? It all remains to be seen, but I do think that this character is going to come back. I mean, they are number 2 in the game to Hachimaru, so they have skills, they have the potential to become samurais. They are an underdog, just like Hachimaru, so they're never going to come back. But just in my opinion, one of the devices possibly that could be used to bring Nanashi and other characters back into the story, despite them being on a planet very far away from whatever Hachimaru and Daruma are going to be doing, is that we have to remember that Daruma said that he was a part of like some kind of tournament, or I don't want to say tournament. It was something like that. I think there was going to be a tournament, but he was a part of some kind of thing that involved him facing off against Mugen for like the higher up samurais of the universe or the galaxy or whatever. So maybe that could be how Nanashi comes back to go against Hachimaru or something. Like he comes to this this challenge or this game or whatever that the higher ups have, and then they pull like special, powerful people from like certain planets, and they bring them together just for, you know, whatever, you know, shonen tropes. And then that's how we see Nanashi again. That would be pretty cool. So they successfully activate the atmospheric blade, but we're seeing like, I don't know the full potential of it. Maybe the full potential is like star busting, but we're seeing more potential than it of just simply using a toothpick, because they're using a soul sword, working together with their connection, along with the buff from An, and then whatever power Hayataru is supplying them. And this thing is insane. It's pulling the, like, pretty much the entire atmosphere of the planet, and it's just engulfing the moon, just in this one panel. But then when we see the full extent of it, it's even bigger than that. It's way bigger than what the moon originally was. Like, this spike, this curved spike that's coming from the atmosphere and creating this, like, it just drills through it. It just minces it, like, to dust, which is insane. This is awesome. This is one of my favorite panels in the series. The artwork is so well done here. Like I was saying earlier in the beginning, props to Okubo for this. This is so well done. I love it so much. And this is an insane feat for any manga. Any manga doing something like this is insane. And I just love this so much. And this is just the beginning. We're only in chapter 16. So like by chapter 100, the power scale is going to be ridiculous. Like Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super stuff possibly. So yeah, they successfully take out the moon. This reinforces the relationship between An and Hachimaru. And they're just like, yeah, we're peacing out of here. We're just going on because we have to go get the other 6 keys. So that's just further reinforcing, like, yeah, that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be hopping around the galaxy / universe to get these other keys. Because, you know, we have the plot set up. They have to open Pandora's box. They also have to combat against Atta and the other skeleton keys, Hachimaru clones, and stop them from opening Mandala's box. So we've got a whole huge story ahead of us, which is just, it's going to be so cool. And we are getting confirmation at the end of this chapter that this is the end of the arc, because it says onwards to a new arc. So I guess this is the end, the official ending, chapter 16. The first arc, more or less, was 16 chapters long, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you thought about this one, guys. Pretty satisfying conclusion, I must say. Can't wait to see where things are headed from here. If you liked the review, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon that gives you access to a weekly Q&A video, and if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.